So first, we got some different pieces of Larian news that came out a couple days ago that I did not see as many people chatting about, which I thought was interesting. So that's why I wanted to chat about it.
Because for the most part, this is all known stuff.
Right.
Because this, I mean, they never outright came and said all of this before, but they had heavily hinted at it, in the last year.
And now it's like more like the lead guy at Larian, Swin, whatever. Did I pronounce his name?
Sure.
Okay. The armor guy, he came out and he kind of really hammered down and kind of confirmed all this stuff. So we're going to chat about that. Plus a new breakthrough in discs. I want you to know, John, that
I saw this and I was like, the fuck is the point of this?
So I want you to know that when I messaged both of you about opinions for the title stuff, he specifically asked for this one. And my exact response back was, you really just want to rile John up on physical media, don't you?
Yeah. He specifically asked for it. Meanwhile, my reaction was, I don't have any strong opinions.
But yeah, it's a breakthrough on discs. Some interesting news came out this week. I think it was from Live Science is where I read it, and I thought it was pretty fascinating. So we're going to touch on that. Xbox native handheld is reportedly in development, and then it sounds like John got Dragon's Dogma 2 and has kind of played it a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, not much, but just a little bit. So we'll touch on that, and then a few other things here or there.
So I'd say, John, he told me I want a trigger. I just replied with this. Because America.
He's just trying to push the good word.
What the hell?
Push the good word. That's all he's trying to do.
I don't know the character's name, but he's from Parks and Recs, with just his face overloaded with the American flag.
Just got to push the good word, man. That's what we're here to do today. All right, let's go ahead and jump into stuff. Of course, we'll also shout out our sponsors, Rogue Energy and H Inc. later on in the show. All right, so first let's touch on the Larian stuff. So basically what kind of came out through this week in an interview and stuff is that apparently Larian Studios was working on Baldur's Gate 3 DLC, but they canceled it just because apparently the team's heart really wasn't in it.
Props to them.
Yeah, big props to them. You don't want a half-assed product. Yeah, and I feel like that's with the approach that they took for Baldur's Gate 3, where they sat in the kitchen and cooked. I remember us talking about it last year. It's like, we hope Larian is going to be like one of those examples for other studios. It's like, take your time, make your game, it'll be great kind of thing. And it's kind of the same thing here. They were working on DLC, and instead of just putting one out to put one out, they pulled the plug on it because their heart wasn't in it.
Well, it's like even like I'd mentioned previously, like I think it was either about a year ago or over a year ago, they had even said like the potential for a DLC is not likely.
Yeah.
Just because, and it's kind of the reason why, like, you play Baldur's Gate 3 goes up to a certain level, is because once you start moving past that, like, once you start moving past, like, the level 12 characters and start moving up to, like, around the 14, 15 range, it's impossible to control anything at that point. At that point, your characters are altering reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they had already kind of said, they're like, we don't know if we would want to do one, and it would almost kind of need to be its own thing, or like a self-contained portion of it almost. So it's like, the fact that they had even started on one is kind of like, well, I mean, At least they looked at it.
They had some concept they at least wanted to try initially.
It's like they saw the reception of it and they were like, okay, we'll take a crack at it and then get into it. And it's like, yeah, we're not doing this.
Yeah,
feeling it.
You know what's
funny about this? There was something I saw just actually today about a statement from Hasbro, who owns the licensing to D&D and stuff like that. And more or less them saying, yes, Larian Studios was a great partner to work with, yada, yada, yada. With Larian saying that they're pretty much done with D&D, this stuff, and them hinting at more D&D games coming through, and a bunch of people should be like, ooh, Hasbro, you sure you want to do that? you really want to follow Larian?
Good luck. Yeah, I mean, that was also just kind of part of like the more confirmation of the news is that they want to move away from D&D. They just want to kind of go in a different direction. So, they said that Baldur's Gate 4 is not happening, at least by them.
Yep.
They also said that Divinity 3, it won't be their next project, but a sequel is on the horizon. So I was kind of curious on John's thoughts on that one, because I feel like we had a conversation at one point where we thought Divinity 3 would be their next game, but we weren't sure.
Well, no, we've known for years, even before they started working on Baldur's Gate, that Divinity 3 was going to happen.
Right.
It's just it was kind of that thing where they got Baldur's Gate 3 got pitched to them, and from their aspect, they're like, well, yeah, why would we not? It's like, why would we not take Baldur's Gate and do whatever we can with it? And then now, I mean, at this point, would I like to have another Divinity game? Of course. It's like that world is fantastic, and like whatever they do now, I mean, I'll be 100% on board for, because like you look at Baldur's Gate 3 and it's like they have all of the character interactions and like storytelling aspects of it. Like those are all fantastic. If you combine that aspect of it with the combat from Divinity Original Sin 2, that's going to be one hell of a game. Because the combat of Divinity, way more fun. Or way more intricate, I should say, than D&D. Just because of the way they have that game built, especially with, like, I guess you could call it hazardous terrains that they've built, or in that they utilize in those games. So the fact that we're probably about a decade out from, like, Divinity 3, a little disappointing. But yeah, at this point, whatever they touch, I'm ready for.
Right. Yeah, because it will be interesting to see what their next project is. They also teased another RPG that's very, very far out, where I just thought it was an interesting little tidbit they wanted to throw in there, just kind of get kind of stir in the pot a little bit, where they talked about RPG they have built the foundation for 10 plus years, but it's just like the tech that we've had is not ready for it, and they're hoping that the PS6 generation will bring them closer to it. Keyword: bring them closer. That's still not a guarantee. It's even going to be that generation, but they've just said a very big RPG that will dwarf them all. So I mean that's pretty fascinating. To hear what they've potentially had cooking, but at the same time, I hear Bethesda in my head with Starfield. It's like, oh, this is the space game that we wanted to do for like 10 plus years and stuff. But with Larian, I mean, they've got such a solid track record. It's just like, even though Divinity 3 won't be the next project, this whatever this RPG is God, like PS7 generation potentially. It's like whatever they're gonna do, it's like they should cook, right?
Yeah, and the one thing I would say, like you being like, it makes you think of Bethesda and Starfield and that. I wouldn't think that way, because with Larian, it's probably less about the actual vastness and size of the game, and probably just some crazy mechanical interactions that they want to have in the game that they just can't get current technology to work on. So that's kind of where my mind goes with it. Maybe they'll have something like that and make it a big, massive, crazy big game. Either way, I'm down for it.
Yeah. I've also seen some conversation about this news where it's just like, they've obviously had a great track record with like Divinity 2 and stuff like that. Then they got Baldur's Gate 3, and Baldur's Gate 3 exploded and is now their like most popular, like mainstream, well-known game. And now they're immediately turning around and going away from D&D. I saw a conversation of where it's just like they blow up with this game, and now they're immediately turning away from the fans who they've now pulled in for this game. And I'm just like, I don't agree to that. I don't agree to that.
Because I would say that's a misinterpretation.
That seems more like a mindset of somebody who became a fan of theirs through Baldur's Gate 3.
It is.
Because
it is.
Yeah, because if you look back at Divinity Original Sin and Original Sin 2, which are their two other biggest, most successful games, it's not that they're turning away from... It's like they're turning away from D&D because the D&D rule set doesn't allow the freedom in combat that they like. It's like they're bound by like the rules and trying to keep as honest to them as they can. Whereas in their own worlds in their own games, they can do whatever they want to. And it's just the freedom that they have there. And it's like the people that became fans of them from Baldur's Gate. The good news is, whatever the next game they build or that they make and they build up and everything, I mean,
It's gonna have the experience from Baldur's Gate 3 that they worked on.
Yep.
It's gonna be another CRPG. Let me tell you
Yeah.
that. It's like they have decided years ago that's the type of game they wanted to make, and they're gonna make it regardless of what anybody else says. Because it's like when Baldur's Gate, when they got handed it, it's like they had the option to go like the real time with pause
Yep.
or like the turn based that they're used to, and they were like, we've already built the system and everything for this. This is what we like to build. We're doing it this way. And at the end of the day, people loved it.
I mean, and they, as you said, and they have Divinity Original Sin and Original Sin 2, which are all solid games in their own right, along with Baldur's Gate 3. So, I mean, consistent track record. Each one did have a bit of development time, which is evident when how solid and polished they've released. So, I mean, really, in all honesty, it's not that Larian's turning away from their fans. It's just Larian's just like, all right, we do our thing with D&D. We're going to continue doing what we're doing, just in less restriction for us.
Yeah. They just want to keep being free and keep doing their thing, because and it is the mindset of it's like they've got a proven track record and stuff. So like, let them cook because like they're an independent studio. You know what I mean? Like they're gonna cook, they're gonna do their thing. And it was funny. I got sent this. It was a TikTok, and I was reading some of the TikTok comments about this as well. And someone brought up Andromeda, and I'm just like, it's like Andromeda's not a bad game. It's just not what you wanted.
Yeah.
If it didn't have Mass Effect in the title, the game could be reviewed a lot better. Like if it was just like a standalone game, I think it would have been better received than what it was. I think that's a different conversation. When it comes to this, it's like I think Larian, them being this independent studio, because like let's say like in Andromeda's case, like yes, you got BioWare making it, but you got EA breathing down their neck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have Larian just to do their thing. You have Larian just to do their thing and cook.
Well, it's like when they got offered to do it. It's like any other studio or team of developers could have been offered to do it. There's a reason why they went to Larian is they were like, we want to make Baldur's Gate 3. Who is the most successful team at making this type of game right now? Oh, let's go to the masters of it.
Yeah.
Because it's like a lot of other studios it's like they'll kind of make the same games, but they'll still jump around and make different experiences than that. Larian is like, no, we're going to give you a 3-act game that's like an RPG, deep turn-based combat, and a lot of open environment to explore. Go have fun.
Pretty much.
So, yeah, I mean, whatever they're going to do next, it's going to be fascinating to see. Going to keep a lookout for it. Divinity 3 not happening for a while. I think it's okay. Whatever they got's coming will be fine.